Part 101. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shiyubuladin Chigwa. Chapter 1010. Looking at Shenjian with a joking look on his face, the real Buddha slowly typed a question mark on the public screen. Clam. Keep praising, don't stop. You don't humming think I'm complimenting you. So there is no ABC number? Really? Counterfeit goods are just fake goods and cannot be put on the market. Even though he has been a Buddhist for more than 10 years, he is still a lowly guy at heart, unable to tell the difference between good and evil. Unlike him, the dragon lurks in the abyss and soars into the sky. Think of this. The mocking look on the corner of the true Buddha's mouth deepened. He started outputting like crazy. What? You don't want to tell me that you are actually the 6th pharaoh? No, 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 you don't think you can convince me by telling such a lie. Someone like you counterfeiters do not deserve the name of Buddha at all. If you have the ability, just stay in the middle and see if you can use your status as a Buddhist disciple to get the new pharaoh to give in. This is the hero who only spent half a month to suppress a problem that even bothered the Genpho temple. Others did not dare to offend the Genpho temple, but this pharaoh was different. He had never done anything like liberating slaves before and would never do it again. I dare to sum up everything about him in one word. In terms of courage, this is the first time I have seen him in my life. Even if my mother and Wu Daitankao heard the news, I am afraid they will treat him as a guest. In terms of merit, you flatter him. I can't even catch up. Seeing that Shenjian didn't say anything, the real Buddha was in a good mood and felt relaxed all over. Even. He gave Shenjian a small boost. If Shenjian really stood in the middle because of his words, blocking the way of the pharaoh and ruining his relationship with him, then it would be an opportunity for him. Even if it doesn't work, he can still rely on his identity as a true Buddhist son to meet the new pharaoh first and take the opportunity to apply eye drops in front of him. He was very good at this set. The most typical example is that during the 5 years that Shenjian had been his childhood sweetheart, he would accidentally say something bad about Shenjian from time to time, making his childhood sweetheart even more disgusted with him. Same now. Although this trip to the pyramid country has changed, and there is no chance for Genpho temple to intervene, the real purpose of Genpho temple is actually to incorporate the pyramid country into a vassal state. Without the riots and the need to rely on strength, he could do more. All he had to do was promise generous terms and reach a consensus with the pyramid nation, and then all the credit for the vanguard army would be his, and his mother would look at him differently. Think of this. The excitement in the eyes of the true Buddha could not be concealed. At this time, outside the palace, a charming voice sounded at the right time. What are you doing here? Being a conspicuous bag. With the sound, the true Buddha saw a beautiful figure approaching. It was a majestic yet charming exotic woman. She was dressed in gold, silver, and a golden crown. She was graceful and luxurious. Her whole body exuded an invisible nobility. Her face was covered with gauze, so she couldn't see it clearly, but from now on a bit of unparalleled beauty can also be glimpsed in a pair of beautiful purple eyes that can speak. While walking, the willow waist that can only be grasped is swaying, which makes people feel evil. What a witch who brings disaster to the country. This is the first thought of a true Buddhist. The second thought is to make it your own. Let it become a collection that belongs only to him. He can guarantee that this must be the common thought of all men. Without exception. But I don't know if it was an illusion, but the true Buddhist always felt that the words spoken to Shenjian by the enchantress who had walked in and brought disaster to the country seemed a bit resentful. It was as if Shenjian had done something to feel sorry for her. Impossible. In just a moment, the true Buddhist gave up this idea. I find it a bit funny. The imposter Shenjian had been licking her for 5 years, but he still couldn't lick away his childhood sweetheart, let alone have anything to do with this enchantress who was infinitely more beautiful than his childhood sweetheart. Just thinking about it? From the corner of his eye, the true Buddhist disciple saw the two ghost guardians sitting on both sides of him in the discipline hall. They seemed to have something wrong with their expressions. Their pupils were narrowed and full of horror, as if they had seen someone who was unbelievable. No, that's impossible, that's Cleopatra. That's right, that's Cleopatra. Why did she appear here? Didn't the intelligence say that she had been buried in the pyramid tomb? Why did the sixth pharaoh release her? Wasn't he afraid that she would rebel? Hear the content. The true Buddhist was slightly startled. Cleopatra. The fourth pharaoh? The most powerful pharaoh in the history of the Pyramid Kingdom. He knew that the reputation of this female pharaoh was, to a certain extent, even greater than that of the Buddha. In terms of identity, the other party is the owner of a superstandard 7-star supernatural place. In terms of strength, the opponent has unreasonable supernatural powers and can use the body of a ghost to fight against 3 ghosts and gods who are infinitely close to the world-destroying level. To put it into perspective, it means fighting against the abbots of the 3 main halls of Genpho Temple at the same time. This strength is not comparable to that of the impostor, the first Buddha. Vigorous yuppie. And now, this legendary female pharaoh actually possesses unparalleled charm. The true Buddha took a breath of cold air, subconsciously comparing Cleopatra with her childhood sweetheart. Subsequently, he shook his head. This is nothing. There is absolutely no comparison. If childhood sweetheart Lin Yangzi is one of the most stunningly beautiful people in the outer city of Buddhism, this Cleopatra is a goddess who only exists in heaven and is rarely heard of in the world. It would be a bit too bullying to compare the goddesses in the sky with the mortal women below. And after knowing that the woman in front of him was Cleopatra, Genphoza felt even more that she could not have anything to do with Shen Jian. Then he stood up directly. He showed a smile that he thought was personable, and scolded Shen Jian, "Brother, although you are just an adopted son, you should at least take care of the face of our true Buddhist temple outside. That is the fourth pharaoh, Cleopatra, you pester me. Why are you blocking other people's way in the middle? Do you want everyone to know that we, the true Buddhist temple, don't know etiquette?" Cleopatra? She was stunned. Ouch. Who is this stupid guy? So cool. Are you sure this sinister, gun-toting tone isn't mocking this bitch? Will you be able to walk out alive later? Cleopatra gave the true Buddha a strange look. Then he looked back. Ignore the other person. She said angrily to Shen Jian, "Brother, you called me here early in the morning. Do you have something to say?" "I'm very obedient. I will definitely do what you say." True Buddhist? Damn it. What did you call him when you stepped on the horse? Elder brother? Aren't you Cleopatra? Aren't you the strongest pharaoh in the history of the Pyramid Kingdom? Shouldn't your image be aloof and treat others like ants? What the hell is brother called? It's too boring. Besides, what's going on with your dog-licking, flattering tone? Where is your dignity as a pharaoh? Eaten by a dog? In a trance. The true Buddha said subconsciously, "Ms. Cleopatra, did you call the wrong person?" The words fell. Cleopatra, who was still addressing Shen Jian in a crooked manner 1 second, turned her eyes coldly in the next second and said clearly, "None of your business." At once, the true Buddha's face turned ugly. There was a period of uncertainty. I wanted to say something more, but seeing Cleopatra's attitude, I swallowed it hard. Then he stared at Shen Jian with an even more resentful look. Apparently, he did not dare to show his dissatisfaction with Cleopatra, so he could only attribute all the troubles to Shen Jian. See this scene. The strange look in Shen Jian's eyes deepened. I always feel that the protagonist in front of me, oh no, it is no longer the case, is the reincarnation of Kesidagarba. It seems that it has been spoiled, and even his personality has undergone earth-shaking changes. But then I thought about it, now he has pushed the mission progress to 75% and has become the protagonist of Luo Fengtian here. Since he is the protagonist, those who are hostile to him will naturally become the villain. It seems normal for a villain to behave like this. Immediately, Shen Jian turned around boredly. He walked straight up to the Amerlin seat. In full view of everyone, he sat down. Rows of noble slave owners knelt down and shouted, "Great Pharaoh!" That moment, the air seemed to be quiet. True Buddhist. Two ghost guardians. Their eyes almost popped out. The mouth opens wide enough to fit a tennis ball. The brain became even more blank. When they got here, how could they not see that Shen Jian was the sixth pharaoh who suppressed the rebellion in the Pyramid Kingdom? How is this so damn possible? Just kidding. Can outsiders also become pharaohs? Doesn't it mean that the pyramid country is highly hierarchical and completely prevents outsiders from controlling power? So what's going on now? Shen Jian is not only an outsider, but also a Buddhist disciple of the true Buddhist temple. To a certain extent, this is more serious than outsiders interfering in politics. At this moment, not only the two ghost guardians, but also the true Buddhist disciple Wang Hao were confused. His face turned green. He finally understood what Shen Jian meant when he said, "Keep praising, don't stop." Originally he thought Shen Jian was a clown, but little did he know that he was the clown in the true sense. In front of the enemy's true leader, praising him for his courage and being the so-called hero is even more devastating than simply being slapped in the face. It made him want to crawl into the cracks on the spot. Unbearable shame and anger. Furious to this, Shen Jian was in a happy mood. He said, "I am about to return to the Buddhist kingdom, and all subsequent matters will be handled by Cleopatra." This is a typical hands-off shopkeeper. But for a group of noble slave owners, this is great news. However, the next second, Cleopatra almost exploded. "Grass. You bitch, want to get rid of me? What about my heart? You can't trick me into leaving before I get it back." She controlled her expression and said timidly, "Brother, are you going to abandon me? Have you forgotten that last night, I went to your bedroom, and you grabbed me and put your hands on me and touched me? Today I almost fell asleep late, and my feet were still a little weak when I woke up." True Buddhist. Ghosts. Gan. Is it so exciting? Is this after sleeping with the pharaoh they had been sleeping with, not wanting to be responsible, and just running away if they wanted to pat their butts? Nonsense. Damn scumbag. Shen Jian, end of chapter. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shi Yubuletin Chigua. Chapter 1011. Finish announcing the news. A group of noble slave ghosts left full of envy and resentment. The brightest pearl of their pyramid civilization was lost to pigs. What's even more irritating is that this pig doesn't want to take responsibility yet and wants to just pat his butt and leave. His main characteristic is that he is ruthless. This made many suitors who had had thoughts about Cleopatra feel uncomfortable. The goddess they couldn't get was stood up and kicked by someone else. Gan. Can't think about it anymore. If you think about it further, they will become emo. The other side. Shen Jian looked at Cleopatra, who was still pretentious, and raised his eyebrows. "You must have advanced your language skills." At most, he touched his feet last night, but under the other person's language processing, it turned out that he had eaten everything and wiped it all off, and he couldn't get out of bed after struggling all night. If he didn't know the truth, he would probably think that he was a scumbag. Cleopatra blinked and did not respond directly. She just pulled the corner of Shen Jian's clothes and said in a sweet tone, Brother, don't let me go. I'm very capable. Shenjian. The corners of his mouth twitched slightly. I really want to know what Cleopatra learned from humans during her years in the real world. The character of the frail little white flower is simply displayed vividly. Totally the boss's favorite type. His eyes turned red, tears fell, and then he fell to the ground. With the appearance of bringing disaster to the country, who couldn't help but feel distressed. Unfortunately, ineffective against Shenjian. After all, he had seen the other party's majestic side as a pharaoh more than once. The so-called weak little white flower is undoubtedly a persona created for his helpless existence. To this, Shenjian was completely indifferent. If it's too delicate, it won't be fun to play with. What he liked to see more was Cleopatra's struggle when she endured the humiliation and had to submit to him. But then I thought about it, and it didn't seem like a big problem to let Cleopatra go to the Buddhist kingdom. On the contrary, there are many benefits. 1. Cleopatra, as the fourth pharaoh, had a reputation in the Pyramid Kingdom that he could not surpass in a short period of time. It would be far better for the other party to admit that he was the master of the Pyramid Kingdom than to prove it to himself. Second, you can add a sense of crisis to Lin Yangzi, the girl in the red dress, who is the heroine appointed by Kasidagarba, and let this heroine know that she is not the most special, and there are many people who are better than her. Third, he can also enjoy more benefits. Think of this. Shenjian's lips curled up. Yeah, then I'm looking forward to seeing how capable you are. Hear the words. Cleopatra breathed a sigh of relief. Emma. My heart was finally saved. If I can't pry your legs open in the next few days and blow pillow wind into your ears, I won't be the strongest pharaoh in the history of the Pyramid Kingdom. She swore secretly in her heart, completely ignoring the dumbfounded Genfozi and others below. At the same time, the real Buddhist disciple and the two ghost guardians of the discipline hall, who had been numbed by the shock, were still in a trance. Shenjian turned out to be the sixth pharaoh. It only took him less than half a month to forcefully suppress the rebellion between the royalists and the royalists, and also dethrone the fifth pharaoh from the throne. As an outsider, he became the supreme master of the pyramid country. He even asked the fourth pharaoh to commit himself to him, as if he would not marry him. This is unbelievable. No. Why should he? Isn't that just a fake? Although the terror level is in the first echelon in the Pyramid Kingdom, it is not the strongest. Why can he suppress the unrest? Everything is revealed to be unreasonable. If they hadn't clearly sensed that all the noble slave owners were ghosts and gods, they would have suspected that these people were playing tricks on them. One can imagine how outrageous this thing is. Just thinking about it. The real Buddha suddenly noticed that Shenjian's eyes fell on him. The sounds of ghosts and gods slowly swayed. Okay, now there are no outsiders. My good brother, what do you want to do with me, a wise and mighty hero? Shenjian emphasized the modifiers and emphasized the tone. A look of teasing. True Buddhist. Hear this. His vision almost went dark. The back molars are almost broken. This was definitely the most humiliating moment in his life, bar none. To use a common phrase, he was heartbroken. I just felt like I couldn't even stand upright in front of Shenjian. You are the sixth pharaoh. How is this possible? The turmoil in the Pyramid Kingdom has been going on for nearly a year. How could you solve it all in less than half a month? I don't believe it. What on earth are you doing? How was it done? The true Buddha murmured. The powerlessness in the words can be heard by everyone. Even the ghost guardian of the discipline hall, who had no dealings with the fake Buddhist disciples, couldn't say a word at the moment, and his eyes were filled with shock and horror. Only those who had a detailed understanding of the riots in the Pyramid Kingdom knew how difficult it was to suppress the royalists and the royalists in less than half a month, gain the support of the two major factions, and sit on the throne of Pharaoh. Even if the ghost Buddha mother or the abbot of the five great halls, no, I should say, even if the ghost bodhisattva behind the five great halls comes in person with the power of destroying world-level ghosts and gods, it is impossible to be stable in the immortal country. Sitting on the throne of Pharaoh and gaining the support of two major factions. And Shen Jian did it? This kind of achievement can be called a miracle. No matter who comes, they don't dare to say I can do it with me. Hear the words. Shen Jian looked at Ksatigarba's reincarnation with great interest, and said in a neither salty nor cool voice, "How did you do it?" "It's simple, first like this, then like that, and finally like this." True Buddhist. Two ghost guardians. The three of them couldn't stand it any longer. The last time I heard this nonsense was the last time. What are you talking about here? I thought so in my heart. But they also know that it is not the key whether Shen Jian talks or not. The important point now is that the real Buddha did not get even a single cent of the credit for this trip to the pyramid. On the contrary, the fake Buddha helped the true Buddha temple complete the work with his own efforts. For the suppression of the pyramid kingdom. After returning this time, the status of the false Buddhist disciples will be even more unshakable. The consequence of this is that the space left for true Buddhists to survive will become smaller and smaller. If you watch it, true Buddhists will become further and further away from the position of heir to the Buddhist kingdom. No doubt. This is fatal. And it is difficult to share the credit evenly through secret operations. After all, even the fifth pharaoh supported by the true Buddha temple was ousted, and the layout of the Buddhist kingdom in the pyramid country was completely overturned. Even if he wanted to take credit, there was no place to do so. Think of this. Whether it is a true Buddhist disciple or the two ghost guardians, their hearts are covered with a layer of haze. The fear of Shen Jian was infinitely magnified. At this time, Shen Jian continued to smile and said, "Stop thinking about it. If you think about it again, your head will grow. I'm going to return to the Buddhist kingdom now to report the news. If you want to stay here and experience the exotic customs, I will tell the people below to give it to you. The best experience for you is to say my name and you can change it without any hindrance. Say it." Shen Jian stepped down from the throne. He gently patted Genfozi on the shoulder. A very atmospheric expression. A true Buddhist has an ugly face. Is this showing off? This horse riding must be showing off. Is it cool to be a pharaoh? Okay, it's really awesome. But so what? I just don't accept it. Besides, if you want to keep us here and rush back by yourself, won't you have all the good things to say by then? If there are some bad words about us mixed in, then we won't even have a chance to redress our grievances. You think beautifully. With this thought, Genfozi shook off Shen Jian's hand and left with a resentful expression. The two ghost guardians followed closely behind. Before leaving the main hall, everything that happened here was reported back exactly as it was through a special supernatural medium. They could almost imagine that there must have been an uproar in Genfo Temple at this time. And this honor belongs to Shen Jian. Compare to, a true Buddhist has no sense of existence at all. Although they are both protectors of the discipline hall and have no dealings with fake Buddhist disciples, they have to admit that the gap between the two is like heaven and earth. End of chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shiyu Buletin Chigwa. Chapter 1012. Buddhist Country. Outer City. All Dragon Kingdom players were restless, sad and gloomy. Ever since Tianlong told Western players about the method of seeking the temple's high priest, the news from the Pyramid Kingdom has completely stopped. Tianlong at Jason, at Zerf, how is the situation? Why don't you reply? If you encounter any problems, I can help. Tianlong, where are the people? Tianlong, are you imprisoned, or are your five senses blocked? Tianlong, just a squeak, just a squeak. Tianlong at Jana, Princess Jana, you should also know about me through the chat history. I will not interfere in the grievances between you Western players, but we are one, and we all need to pass the level safely first after 100 reincarnations and returning to the real world. I hope we can cooperate. Tianlong at fairy tales are all lies. I can promise you that when you return to the real world, I will give you a supernatural weapon that can dismember the abyss level Ghost King. Let's cooperate. Tianlong. Tianlong, damn, you are so stupid. From the initial anxiety to the final rage, Tianlong only spent 3 days. Looking at the chat interface where there was no sound at all, his face that always had a fake smile could no longer maintain it, and his expression was very ugly, looking like a Sema. In the Buddha Kingdom, the only way they can obtain information about the Pyramid Kingdom is through Western players. Now, all Western players seem to be dead and have no news. How can this not make him angry? No matter what method he used, Western players seem to have reached some consensus and collectively lost contact. It has now been 3 days since that night. If Jason and Zerv, the father and son, succeed in persuading the high priest of the temple, then the beheading of Cleopatra is already on the agenda. If you act quickly, she will be killed by now. If that didn't work out, he had other plans. It is guaranteed that true Buddhist disciples will receive merit that is enough to make their eyes shine. However, the problem now is, he really doesn't know the specific situation. What's the difference between riding a horse and playing chess without seeing the game? No matter how many strategies he had, he couldn't use them at all. This feeling is so frustrating. At this time, a player ran in. Brought big news. The true Buddha is back. The fake Buddha is back too. In an instant, all the players in the audience looked at Tianlong. Tianlong was also confused. He stood up with a snap. I just feel like my head is buzzing. What's the meaning? What does it mean? The plot of Pyramid Kingdom is not even halfway over, and it has just begun. Why are the real and fake Buddhists coming back? In the plot of the previous life, the vanguard army went away for 3 full months before returning with missing arms and legs, bringing back the news that the Pyramid Kingdom had fallen into riots and the situation was completely out of control. And now, the true and false Buddhist disciples had only been there for less than half a month. Wrong. To be more precise, the fake Buddhist disciple has been gone for less than half a month. The true Buddha has been riding on the road. Even if he finally reaches the Pyramid Country, he will only stay for a day or 2 at most. What can he do with this little time? Traveling takes more than this amount of time. What's more, it's a mission. In other words, it is very likely that a true Buddhist would only go there once and return the same way. Not to mention credit, I'm afraid I didn't even participate. In this case, the protagonist has no share of credit or anything. Damn it! What happened to this horse riding? Timely. A line of scarlet panels that only he could see emerged. Hidden plot mission, patch up another life. Content, eliminate all variables around the protagonist, get the twisted plot back on track, and ensure that the protagonist successfully becomes the Lord of the Buddhist Kingdom. Current progress, 100th life. Error plot points, 5 places. As follows. Part 1, the fake Buddhist disciple broke off the engagement, repair failed. Second location, Golden Finger Ghost Mirror, repair failed. The third place, conquer the ghost town and obtain ghost relics, repair failed. Fourth place, recognize relatives and become the first disciple of Buddha, repair failed. Fifth place, reaching consensus with the Pyramid Kingdom, repair failed. Current plot collapse level, 75%. Warn. Warn. Serious warning. When the plot collapse reaches 100%, the hidden plot mission fails and the player will fall into reincarnation forever. These lines of failure seemed to tell him how the plot of the 100th reincarnation had collapsed. He tremblingly clicked on the fifth plot error that had just appeared. Details of the wrong plot point: the current Pyramid Kingdom has been suppressed by the fake Buddha, who has become the sixth pharaoh and rules the Pyramid civilization. This plot point cannot be corrected. See this. Tianlong pupil earthquake. Horror was written all over his face. Damn it. This is what happened. No wonder the protagonist chooses to go back now. The fake Buddhists are already occupying the Pyramid Kingdom. What else can they do if they don't go back the way they came? How is this done? Even with the advice of the mysterious 100th player, it can't make up for the gap between the fake Buddha and the Pyramid Kingdom. Whether it is the royal party or the royalist party, neither the false Buddhists can fight against it alone. Under such circumstances, the other party accomplished the impossible feat, suppressed the Pyramid civilization, and became the supreme pharaoh. To know. Even in previous reincarnations, true Buddhists could not do this. And he has not revealed any more information about the royal party and the royalist party. It is impossible for the 100th player to target the weaknesses of these ghosts and gods and conquer them one by one. In other words, it took the other party less than half a month to complete the unification of the Pyramid Kingdom with a blind eye and a serious lack of intelligence. Think of this. Tianlong, there was a storm in his heart. An indescribable frustration swept through his body. He is arrogant because he possesses the information of 5 reincarnations. He claims to be an omniscient and omnipotent being. Even if there are changes in the plot, he can fiddle with it at will. But today, he felt the gap. In the last life, he acted as the think tank of the true Buddha. He also thought about letting the true Buddha regain the Pyramid Kingdom and turn it into an accessory to himself. However, the reality is very cruel. Let alone regaining it, they don't even have the chance to become a noble. No matter how much they help, they can only get rewards from Pharaoh. Exclusion is very strong. Because of this, in this life, he gave up this ridiculous idea. But he never expected that in this life, someone would turn this ridiculous idea into reality, and it was even crazier than he imagined. Not only did he become a noble, he was also the largest noble in the Pyramid civilization. This is so dreamy. It's like a dream. Fantasy shines into reality. For a while. Looking at the 75% plot breakdown point on the scarlet panel, his heart sank a little bit. There are not many opportunities left for him. Another major plot will probably take up the last 25%. By then, all is well. He had worked so hard not just to fall down and never get up again in his last reincarnation. The other side. When Shen Jian returned to Zhenfo Temple, the abbots from the 5 halls had gathered together, looking at Shen Jian with burning eyes. The incredible look in his eyes was almost impossible to conceal. Obviously, they had received the news in advance. Learned about Shen Jian's feats in the Pyramid Kingdom. God knows how wonderful their expressions were when they first learned that Shen Jian single-handedly suppressed the Pyramid Kingdom and became the 6th pharaoh to rule this super-standard 7-star supernatural place. It was a totally ghostly look. How did you do it? With your strength, you shouldn't be able to accomplish all of this. The ghost abbot of the discipline hall had the biggest reaction. Even though he had accepted this fact, he still didn't believe it in his heart and looked at Shen Jian with a look of uncertainty. After all, the credit for recovering the Pyramid Kingdom is too great. It was so big that a true Buddhist disciple completely lost the qualification to compete for the number 1 Buddhist disciple. To know. In today's Buddhist kingdom, apart from the fault-level supernatural place Zhenfo Temple, the most powerful are the 3 7-star supernatural places. However, these 3 7-star supernatural places need to be added together to be comparable to a pyramid country. One can imagine what it means for Shenjian to become the pharaoh of the pyramid kingdom. This means that today's Shenjian is far greater than the abbots like them in terms of identity, status, power, and strength. It is not an exaggeration to say that he is the second person in the Buddhist kingdom. And this number one is naturally the ghost Buddha mother. This mother and son became the two most powerful people in the entire Buddhist country. How can these abbots compete for the position of managers of the Buddhist kingdom if they step on the horse? As long as Shenjian fully supports the ghost Buddha mother, they can sleep in peace. It makes no sense. You are so awesome, you are not afraid of being banned. Hear the words. Shenjian said very casually, it's very simple. Can't you guys do it? Then you have to think about whether there is something wrong with you. The ghost abbot of the discipline hall choked. God, we have a problem. Is this a simple sentence that can sum up the past? Your tone almost made us mistakenly think that this is really a matter of just have the skills. Too pretentious. Pretending to be struck by lightning. He cursed secretly in his heart. The other 4 ghost abbots were also a little unable to hold back. The abbot of Zija Temple, could you please take us with you too? We are impatient. End of chapter. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shiyu Buletin Chigwa. Chapter 1013. After nourishing the ghost abbot at the entrance of the 5 halls, Shenjian's face curled up. His eyes fell on the true Buddha who was wandering in the sky again. Since returning to the Buddhist kingdom, Ksitigarbha's 103 incarnation has looked like this. He is in a trance, looking like he has suffered a major blow and is depressed. Certainly. When he looked at him from time to time, the malice in his eyes was increasing day by day. It can be said that at this time, the true Buddha has completely lost the character and mentality of the protagonist. He is like a wild child who has just returned to a wealthy family, has extremely inflated desires, and no one can give him the right guidance. If he continues to develop, he is not far away from becoming a vicious male supporting character. To this, Shenjian turned a blind eye. He had no idea of saving his enemy. Moreover, the more vicious a true Buddhist behaves, the more beneficial it is to him. Only when he was stupid did he correct himself. Just thinking about it? A voice from Chuchen murmured, "You've done well, you've been able to take charge of your own business." The words fell. The figure of the ghost Buddha mother then appeared. The thin moon-white monk's robe that has not changed for thousands of years wraps up her proud figure. Her pair of jade feet are bare. When she walks, she does not pick up any soil, does not touch the secular world, and is spotless, just like the mortal Guanxian Bodhisattva. She opened her beautiful almond-shaped eyes, and there was a detachment in the depths of her pupils that could not be seen from thousands of miles away. But when she looked at Shenjian, there was only relief and tenderness in her eyes. Shenjian also smiled back, "This is what I should do. After admiring the exotic Cleopatra, my aesthetic level has increased significantly, but the charm of the ghost Buddha in front of me is still undiminished. No matter how many times I see it, I am still amazed." As he said before, the only ones who can be compared with Cleopatra are the ghost Buddha mother and the master of everlasting hatred. Each of the 3 has its own characteristics. One is fiery, one is dusty, and one is cold. The third heaven of ice and fire. In terms of relationships, these 3 people should be mother-in-law and daughter-in-law ex-best friends. Think of this. Shenjian's heart was agitated. His eyes moved. Ghost Buddha Mother Ji Han. Current status, gratification, tenderness, doting. Favorability, 152. Unlock exclusive relationship, unlimited pampering. See this. Shenjian was secretly speechless. 120 points means extreme infatuation, and 150 points unlocks an exclusive relationship. In other words, this is a stage of special affection based on his relationship with the ghost Buddha mother, unlimited pampering. Pampering is not unusual. In the 4-star dungeon Metamorphosis, he also used the supernatural power of the hypnotic ghost heart to reach the doting stage of favor with the adoptive mother who adopted him. At this stage, the favor reached 100 points, and he transitioned from family affection to ambiguous feelings. Maternal love will deteriorate. But now, the ghost Buddha mother still has a family affection for him. Even if it reaches 150 points, she is still doting on him, because this is already the highest stage of favorability between a mother and her son. The difference is that unlimited is added in front of pampering. The meaning is obvious. No matter what request he made, the ghost Buddha mother would eventually agree to him. Shen Jian's eyes flashed with strange color. Although he had expected that 150 points of favor would give him a surprise, he never expected that the surprise would be so big. Now it seems. He no longer needs to disguise his evil intentions. He only needs to let the ghost Buddha mother unload his heart a little bit, and he can take advantage of it, peel off this mature body that is not born in the world but is also full of temptations, and treat it well. A dutiful son. Besides, since the progress on the side of ghost Buddha mother is so smooth, the situation on the side of Changhen Nunnery must be similar. After all, before he left, the favorability of the master of Changhen Temple had reached 80 points. Adding in the 60 points added by the hidden plot mission, that was 140 points of favorability. Think about it. Things should be the same between the two. With this thought, Shen Jian's eyes lit up with a bit of fire. I vaguely felt an evil fire burning in my lower abdomen. Thinking. An inappropriate voice interjected. The speaker is a true Buddhist. He's asking for credit. Mother, I have also advanced to the level of ghost and god. I was still thinking that if I advance to the level of ghost and god faster, my brother might be able to unify the pyramid country faster. As the younger brother, I will definitely not take this credit from my brother. When he said this, the true Buddha's expression seemed a little aggrieved. He seemed to feel sad for not being able to help Shen Jian. At the same time, he also secretly pointed out that Shen Jian took all the credit and did not think about his younger brother at all, which was too selfish. Shen Jian was very interested. A little surprised. I just finished saying that the protagonist has no character at all, but I didn't expect that he would resort to green tea bitch tactics so quickly. Some progress. But he said too much and was too deliberate. If you just say that you have advanced to the level of ghosts and gods, it will indeed gain some attention from the ghosts and gods, but the following words are too connotative and anyone can hear it. As expected. The ghost abbots at the entrance of the 5 halls all had strange expressions on their faces. Even if you want to take the credit, you have to be there anyway. The intelligence clearly stated that you arrived late after Shen Jian had suppressed the rebellion in the Pyramid Kingdom and became the 6th pharaoh. In this situation, even if you want to snatch it away from your horse, why would you say it out loud like this? Do you really think everyone has to pamper you? It's noisy. Points deducted, too many points deducted. Not only the abbot of Wude Tangkao, but also the eyes of the ghost Buddha mother showed a bit of disappointment. The character of his eldest brother, his biological son, who told lies with open eyes and made up his mind is really disappointing. This also made Gui Buddha mother, who originally wanted to praise the other party's great progress, no more words of praise. She just said with disappointment, everything must be done within your ability. Do as much as you have the ability. Don't be too ambitious. What's more, don't boast, you have to learn this from your elder brother. Hear the words. The true Buddha's face fell instantly. The facial muscles twisted. His eyes were cloudy and uncertain. He cast an extremely hateful look on Shenjian, clenching his back molars, as if to say, "It's all you, the fake, who took away my mother's love from me. No matter what I did, everything is going to be suppressed by you. Why don't you die?" Shenjian interpreted so much. Then he added, "Fire. Very free and easy. I am already very satisfied with my current life. If my brother wants this credit, I can let him go. Anyway, being famous is of no use to me. I would rather stay with my mother and chat with you." Ghost Buddha mother looked at Shenjian distressedly. Then he looked at the true Buddha with a complicated tone and said in a slightly heavier tone, "This is the credit your eldest brother has achieved through hardships and dangers. Don't think that you can separate it. Next time, don't mention this crooked way. It has nothing to do with improving your strength. You should correct your nature more than that." After hearing this, the true Buddhist exploded immediately. He wanted to give Shenjian eye drops, but why did it turn into a denouncement meeting against him? And obviously he is the biological son of the ghost Buddha mother and the real son of Buddha in the true Buddha temple. He should be loved by everyone. Why did all this fall on the counterfeit? Even his biological mother said this about him. Between the two of them, who is the biological child? With this hatred, the true Buddha gritted his teeth and left angrily on the spot. This time away. It also left a bad impression in the mind of the ghost Buddha mother. She has no respect for her elders. See this. Shenjian almost laughed out loud. Looking at the ghost Buddha mother, who was trembling slightly, he put his arms around the shoulders of the nominal adoptive mother and comforted, "Mom, my brother has been living in an old and shabby supernatural place in the outer city since he was a child. It is inevitable that he will be contaminated by some unpleasant things. He has a good character, but now that he has returned to the true Buddha temple, under the influence of the Buddha's light, he will soon find his way back. Hey, this kid is indeed a bad learner, and so are you. I know you don't want to embarrass me, but you can't spoil him like that. Today he dares to steal your credit, and tomorrow he dares to steal your supernatural resources. It's necessary when the time comes, you have to fight for it." The ghost Buddha mother sighed. The tone was full of worry and headache. Even she had a dark thought in her heart: how wonderful it would be if my parent and son had always been Shenjian. Certainly. The thought was fleeting. Not even the ghost Buddha mother was aware of it. But, once an idea arises, it will quickly take root and sprout as time goes by. By then, the more mistakes a true Buddhist child makes, the stronger this thought becomes, until he completely gives up on the mother-child relationship. Shenjian, who listened to the voice of the ghost Buddha mother, had a quiet look in his eyes, as if expecting. End of chapter. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shiyu Buletin Chigwa. Chapter 1014. Buddhist Temple. Shenjian accompanied the ghost Buddha mother back here. Along the way, the ghost Buddha mother held Shenjian's arm, and without any precautions, she leaned over the proud capital and pressed closely against him. The two were talking and laughing. Most of the time, Shenjian was talking about the situation in the Pyramid Kingdom and why he did not choose to assist the royal party, but chose to suppress the two major factions and rise to power himself. Certainly. This has also gone through quite a bit of adaptation. The adaptation is not random, and the drama is not nonsense. On the premise of ensuring credibility, Shenjian added many scenes in which he overcame all odds, was hostile, assassinated, and betrayed. The ghost Buddha mother felt even more distressed when she heard this. The hug became tighter. Shenjian also had a smile in his eyes. Feeling the amazing touch coming from his arm, he couldn't help but sigh. It was a sign of great evil. It's impossible to hold it with one hand. Thinking. Ghost Buddha mother looked forward to it and said, "You performed well this time. You completely slapped the discipline hall in the face and consolidated your position. Tell me, what do you want? As long as it is available in the true Buddha temple, you can ask for it. Said. A pair of well-shaped almond eyes sparkled with curiosity. After all, she has not forgotten that when Shen Jian took over this task, he once told her that if he could help Zhenfo Temple solve this problem, he would grant Shen Jian a wish. Now, the task was overfulfilled, and she was quite curious to know what Shen Jian wanted. The wish that does not require preparation in advance is that he wants me to do something with him. Shen Jian listened to the ghost mother's voice and pursed his lips hesitantly, as if he didn't know how to speak, but struggled for a few seconds and whispered, I want to experience what it feels like to kiss. What did you say? The ghost Buddha mother's beautiful little face turned crimson. Thinking of her son's words of praise that sounded like confession before, she felt confused for a moment. How could it be possible? Did my son really transfer his feelings for the eldest daughter of the Lin family to me? What do I do? Shen Jian lowered his head, the disappointment on his face was clear. If you can't, forget it. In the 5 years I have been staying in the outer city, I have seen many so-called couples kissing passionately. I am really curious, what kind of thing is this? The experience can make people so obsessed, but if mother finds it offensive, forget it, I will find someone else. No. The words are not finished yet. The ghost Buddha mother immediately interrupted. Shen Jian's last words almost gave him a heart attack. My son worked as a licker in another city for 5 years and wasted everything. If he hadn't woken up in time, he would have been ridiculed for several more years. Now, how could she let her son have the chance to be someone else's dog licker again when his son had found his way back? This is absolutely not okay. In the eyes of Ghost Buddha Mother, Shen Jian is too simple to handle this kind of love affair, but she cannot stop it for the rest of her life. This is too cruel to her son. Think of this. An idea came into her mind. How about I teach him first? As soon as this thought came out, it completely took root in the heart of Ghost Buddha Mother. She felt that as long as Shen Jian had experienced these things first and the novelty was gone, he would be able to deal with them more calmly in the future, instead of being a licking dog without a bottom line just because he couldn't taste the taste of meat. The more I think about it, she felt more and more that this idea was a good one. As for what's wrong, the Ghost Buddha Mother also thought of it, but under the unlimited pampering stage of up to 150 points of favorability, this problem quickly disappeared. The sky is big and the earth is big, but my son is the biggest. This is the truest thought of the Ghost Buddha Mother at this time. Then, the Ghost Buddha Mother smiled fondly, okay, I didn't say I disagreed, but this is not your wish for this mission. This is a normal thing, come on. Finished. She smoothed her hair around her ears, raised her head slightly, and slowly closed her loving almond eyes. See this? Shen Jian sighed repeatedly, secretly smacking his lips. 150 points of favorability, so awesome. He listened to the voice of the Ghost Buddha Mother throughout the whole process, and naturally understood the process of the other person's thoughts. It was completely self-brainwashing. He just put forward this treacherous idea and didn't say much else. If it were at the 100-point favorability stage, the other party would hesitate and think it was inappropriate. They might not reject him on the spot, but they would not let him succeed. And with 150 points of favorability, the other party will brainwash themselves, transform inappropriate things into something they can accept, and successfully convince themselves. Shen Jian has seen someone pooed by him, but this is the first time he has seen someone pooed by himself. How wonderful! Think about this. Shen Jian didn't hesitate. He kissed Guifomu's sexy red lips fiercely. And, in order to maintain his persona of an emotional novice, Shen Jian kissed very awkwardly. Only scratches the surface. The Ghost Buddha Mother was a little dumbfounded. She secretly opened her unusually crimson eyes, and when Shen Jian let go again with just a touch of water, she turned against him and kissed him on his own initiative. This is not emotional, but teaching in secret. She is instructing Shen Jian, so thought the ghost Buddha mother. For a long time, the two separated. Shen Jian's intention is still unfinished. Ghost Buddha mother was also panting for hot breath, and her whole face turned red along with everything on her neck. Remember? You were too gentle and clumsy just now. This won't work. You need more practice. Shen Jian nodded frequently. He didn't ask if it could happen again next time. That's not necessary. With 150 points of favorability, this is not something that requires too much mental struggle. The next few days, Shen Jian comes to the Ghost Buddha Mother every day to practice. Ghost Buddha Mother also took the initiative to guide from the beginning, but gradually became unable to withstand Shen Jian's offensive, and could only passively meet Shen Jian's offensive. Several times, her body went limp and she almost became emotional. I am becoming more and more intolerable to this kind of flirtatious behavior. Shen Jian also pretended not to know. It's really just kissing, and the hands are well behaved, and at most it's just a few sneaky touches on the waist. This day, Shen Jian continued to walk towards the Buddhist hall of Ghost Buddha Mother. En route, there is a new private message in the chat interface. Wan Quan, sir, do you know what has happened in the past few days? King Yama? King Quan, 3 days ago, the true Buddha, who was promoted to the level of ghosts and gods, announced with a high profile that in order to prove his strength, he would challenge the existence of ghosts and gods from beginning to end. Shen Jian was stunned for a moment. Yo! Is this because he knew that he could not challenge his position at the moment, so he took the next step and chose to expand his reputation? Is this making a name for yourself? It's a good move. If the true Buddha can really challenge all the ghosts and gods in the Buddhist kingdom and win, he will indeed become a household name in a short period of time, increasing his proportion in the plot. A conservative estimate is that it can rise by 10% with less talk. In other words, if he does nothing, the task progress that has finally reached 75% will drop below 65%. The attention that was taken away from Luo Fengtian will also turn its attention to him again. This is Tianlong's plan? Shen Jian thought. Asked. Wan Quan, sir, this is precisely the crux of the problem. Tianlong does not know about this matter, and he also said that there was no such plot in previous reincarnations. This is a plot node spontaneously performed by the true Buddha. King Quan, but, sir, this is still not the most important thing. The important point now is that the ghosts and gods that the true Buddha will challenge also include existences that are infinitely close to the world-destroying ghosts and gods, including you. King Quan, and just now, with the strength of a first-time ghost and god, the true Buddha defeated an existence that was infinitely close to the world-destroying ghost and god. He became completely famous and unstoppable. Shen Jian? See this. There was also a hint of surprise in his eyes. He squinted his eyes. When he first heard what King Quan said, he thought he was just challenging the existence of ghosts and gods, but unexpectedly, the protagonist actually included ghosts and gods who were infinitely close to the world-destroying level. Although this is indeed the stage of ghosts and gods, in public perception, ghosts and gods who are infinitely close to the world-destroying level are basically two levels. In terms of strength, they are indeed not on the same level. Cleopatra must be powerful enough. She can rely on her own strength to fight 3 ghosts and gods at the same time with the body of a ghost and a god. Even the former fake Buddha cannot do this. But the premise for Cleopatra to be so strong is to defeat the few with more. Moreover, it's just a counterbalance, not a kill. If he doesn't use his past and future body, the opponent is not an opponent that is infinitely close to the existence of world-destroying ghosts and gods. At least among all the ghosts and gods Shen Jian has seen, None has such ability. Not to mention, a true Buddhist does not temporarily contend with ghosts and gods that are infinitely close to the world-destroying level, but defeats them. This is even harder. With the strength of the true Buddha's 103 incarnation, it is absolutely impossible to do it, and even the true Buddha temple can't do it. There must have been other subtle changes. Think about it. Shenjian, who had already reached the Buddhist hall, turned around and disappeared. His eyes were full of desolation. He finally pushed the mission progress to 75%. He only had to wait for the next big plot to break out before he could completely push it to 100% and quietly recover the fourth Luo Fengtian. How could he allow such a change at this juncture? End of chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shi Buletin Chigua. Chapter 1015. Inner City. A group of ghosts gathered around and there was a lot of noise. The third one, this is already the third ghost and god that the second Buddha has defeated, which is infinitely close to the world-destroying level. Niobe, with the body of a ghost and a god, he can leapfrog and defeat him. This record seems to be even more impressive than that of the first Buddhist disciple. Well, haven't you heard the rumors? It is said that the second Buddha is the real Buddha, but he has only found it recently. He lacks some background and cannot stand out. Once these are completed, the advantages will be revealed immediately. So, the position of the heir to the Buddha kingdom is uncertain again? My sister-in-law's uncle's uncle has some gossip. During the time when the first Buddha disappeared, he actually went to the Pyramid Kingdom to suppress the riots, and became the pharaoh of this supernatural place, has made such great contributions that he has almost completely locked in the position of heir. What's the point of relying on scheming? We are ghosts. Of course, only the strongest Buddhist disciple can lead the Buddhist kingdom. If the terror level of the second Buddhist disciple is infinitely close to the world-destroying level, it will only take a matter of minutes to defeat the first Buddhist disciple. At this time, because the true Buddha defeated the third ghost and god who was infinitely close to the world-destroying level, his reputation suddenly expanded and he gained many supporters. One side supports the true Buddhist disciples, and the other side supports the first Buddhist disciples. The two parties were arguing fiercely and their faces were red. Just about to start a fight. For all this, the true Buddha who was standing in the martial arts arena also had a look of pride on his face. He didn't stop it. Instead, continued to choose the next opponent. He wanted to defeat all the ghosts and gods in the Buddhist kingdom in the shortest possible time, so that his reputation would reach its peak, and then use this energy to directly select the fake one hiding in the true Buddha temple and defeat him forcefully in front of everyone. Become the undisputed first person among world-destroying ghosts and gods. By then, all scenery belongs to him. What he once lost must now be regained. At the same time, off stage, looking at the true Buddha who has begun to challenge the fourth ghost and god who is infinitely close to the world-destroying level, all the players have a blank look in their eyes. Even Tianlong is no exception. His eyes widened, and he couldn't hide the confusion on his face as he looked at the protagonist who easily suppressed his opponent on the martial arts stage. Tianlong, what's going on? We have witnessed the journey of the protagonist with our own eyes. If the true Buddha had such strength, his performance in the ghost town would not have been so bad. Are you sure you didn't miss it? What plot points? For example, when the protagonist went to the Pyramid Kingdom, other encounters happened. A player asked his doubts. This is not only his personal doubts, but also the doubts of all players. The protagonist, who is obviously mediocre and even half disabled, suddenly seems to have a golden finger and awakens Long Aotian. This is so strange. And even if you get any chance, you have to digest it first. But there are no true Buddhists. It's as if the other party already possesses this kind of strength, but it was just hidden before and now it's really revealed. At this point, none of the players believed it. The whole thing is completely weird. Tianlong was silent. Moment. He seemed to come to his senses and told a jaw-dropping news. The supernatural power that the true Buddha just used to suppress his opponent has been seen in previous lives. It is a supernatural method possessed by ghost relics. A group of players. Hear this. Everyone was stunned. Not sure why. What's the meaning? In the 103 incarnation, weren't the ghost relics snatched away? How did a true Buddhist get this supernatural power? What do you mean? Is there a possibility that this method is not actually found in the ghost relics, but was learned by the protagonist at the Genfo temple or other places? The ghost slave incarnation of the royal power was the first to question. Because only he knew that the ghost relics had been obtained by Shenjian a long time ago, and even if a true Buddhist disciple had the power to reach heaven, he would not be able to take it away from Shenjian. Tianlong shook his head. This is impossible. In my last life, I accompanied the protagonist almost all the way. I know the source of all the supernatural powers of the protagonist. They are definitely obtained from ghost relics, and it is not just this kind. When I fought against ghosts and gods that were infinitely close to the world-destroying level several times, the protagonist also showed off the supernatural abilities he possessed in his later years, and it is impossible for the current protagonist to know about this supernatural ability. So, what do you want to say? Wang Quan's brows furrowed into the character Chuan. It was him who didn't understand the situation at this time, let alone the meaning of Tianlong's words. The next second, Tianlong swallowed his saliva, with a flash of fear on his face. I suspect that the protagonist in front of me who has been reincarnated in the 100th life has the memory of the 99th life. As soon as these words came out. Shocking. The shock made everyone's scalp numb. My head is buzzing. Even King Quan's expression suddenly changed. The protagonist of the 103 incarnation has the memory of the previous life. At first glance, it sounds ridiculous. But combined with the rapid improvement of the protagonist's strength and the emergence of several unknown supernatural situations, this conclusion may not be untrue. After all, the protagonist of the cycle of reincarnations is the same person. Even if memories are interoperable, it is not an unacceptable setting. Moreover, due to Shenjian's intervention, the protagonist of the 103 incarnation has been cornered and has no room to fight back. In this case, the real source ghost of the copy here begins to take measures to save himself, trying to get the twisted plot back on track. This is normal. It is normal for a world-destroying ghost and god who once became the lord of the Buddhist kingdom in other reincarnations to defeat ghosts and gods who are infinitely close to the world-destroying level by relying on the various supernatural skills he has mastered, even if the terror level falls to the level of ghosts and gods. Not to mention, when the plot ends, the protagonist's level of terror may not be the ordinary world-destroying level. What does this horse riding mean? The protagonist of the waste stream becomes a reborn stream. The immortal emperor resurrects his life and treats children like a boss. Damn it! The source behind this 9-star copy really knows how to play. Think of this possibility. Not only King Quan, but also other players were shocked. Because they thought of a problem. Originally, because they had foresight of the plot, they could interfere with the fate of the true Buddha to a certain extent, but if the protagonist awakens the memory of the previous life, their role will be close to zero. Once you intervene again, you will easily find flaws. By then, all of them will be exposed to the protagonist. Even if the protagonist can single-handedly correct the direction of the plot so that their main mission can be successfully completed, due to the influence of cause and effect, they will also face the inevitable ending of being liquidated by the true Buddha. If that's the case, they would rather the protagonist fails and then repeats the last reincarnation again and again. For a while, all the players had a look of surprise and uncertainty on their faces. And when all the players fell into a trance, the royal power has long been silent. If you look carefully, you will find that at this time, he lacks a trace of agility, and is like a real corpse, stuck in place. The other side. King Quan's scalp also exploded after receiving the information from the ghost slave. This important content was reported to Shenjian immediately. King Yama, I understand. Looking at the few short words on the chat interface, Wang Quan felt at ease. The boulder in my heart fell. At the same time, in front of Shenjian, a line of chat messages came into view. King Quan, my lord, it's bad. According to Tianlong, the current true Buddhist has probably awakened the memory of his previous life and possesses all the supernatural abilities that he once had as the master of the Buddhist kingdom. His strength is far more terrifying than imagined. King Yama, I understand. Finished reading. Shenjian withdrew his gaze. His eyes suddenly fell on the martial arts field. At this time, most of the ghosts in the inner city gathered here, all with red faces and excited expressions, and kept shouting the name of the true Buddha. The momentum is huge. In the center of the martial arts field, the true Buddha suppressed a ghost and god that was infinitely close to the world-destroying level with a very strong posture. From his movements and expressions, it can indeed be seen that this Ksatagarbha's 103 incarnation, haven't used all my strength yet. Shenjian's eyes were dark. A scarlet panel that only he could see appeared in front of him. The 103 incarnation of Wang Hao. Introduction: the founder of the huge Buddhist kingdom, the only supreme Buddha, transcended the world and was refined in the world of mortals after hundreds of lives. He only wanted to break through the shackles and become a true Buddha due to a fundamental change in the last reincarnation. He chose to save himself, unlock past life memories. Current status: awakening, 30%. Favorability, -100, until death. Shenjian looked at it. The expression is intriguing. The panel that combines King Qin Guang's priestly talent Eye of Hell and the favorability system clearly shows that the true Buddha at this moment has indeed awakened the memory of his past life. It is consistent with what Tianlong guessed. However, he was not completely awakened. But even if it is only 30%, it is enough to bring about earth-shaking changes to the protagonist. Not to mention that there will be more awakenings in the future. Judging from what he just observed, the nature of the true Buddha has not changed. Shenjian guessed that 30% of the awakened memories are most likely related to supernatural aspects. Just thinking about it? The scarlet panel emerged. Trigger side mission. Side mission: seize the fruits of victory. Content: the true Buddha provides a perfect stage, trying to trample the players under their feet and over their heads as the ultimate villain. How can you bear this? Task conditions: defeat the true Buddha. Note: once this side mission fails, the true Buddha will regain 20% of the plot and be paid attention to by Luo Fengtian again. End of this chapter. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author: Shi Buletin Chi Gua. Chapter 1016. Looking at the side mission on the scarlet panel, Shenjian did not make any move and stood quietly, watching the supernatural confrontation on the martial arts field that was gradually coming to an end. Side missions needed to be completed, but he couldn't take the initiative. Taking the initiative is destroying your good big brother persona. Moreover, there is no need for him to take the initiative. With the true Buddha's -100 points of favorable opinion towards him, as his self-confidence gradually expands, he will definitely take the initiative to challenge him. What he wants to do is to accidentally leak out a trace of supernatural fluctuations for the true Buddha to notice. Think of this. Shenjian accurately threw a ray of yin qi into the martial arts arena, and then quickly dispersed. The next second, the true Buddha on the stage really caught this fleeting yin energy and looked at it suddenly. What he saw was Shen Jian's complex emotions of a look of shock, then quickly regaining his composure, but clenching his fingers. See this scene. A sinister smile appeared on the resolute face of the true Buddha. Overwhelming sense of superiority. There is only one thought left in my heart, so you can panic too. The person I am now is no longer the person I was a few days ago. You fake, prepare to fail. With this thought, the true Buddha withdrew his gaze and decided to end this battle now. Then, his mouth bulged high. The moment it opened, the blood mist filled the sky and spread to the entire martial arts stage. The horrifying killing intent, like a mountain of corpses and a sea of corpses, made the ghosts tremble. They couldn't help turning their heads away, not daring to look at the blood mist that looked like a living creature. Some of them were so stubborn that after just staring for more than 3 seconds, they let out a loud cry and fell straight to the ground, dying on the spot. Only existences above the level of ghosts and gods can barely take a few glances. After a few seconds, a body was thrown out, cutting through the sky. It landed accurately in front of Shen Jian. Full of provocation. But the Li Gui present didn't know this. All they knew was that this second Buddha, with his strength as a first-time ghost and god, killed a ghost and god that was infinitely close to the world-destroying level on the spot. This is even more shocking than defeating a ghost that is infinitely close to the world-destroying level. This moment, the field was quiet for a few seconds, and then erupted into exclamations like a flash flood and tsunami. Buddha! 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 This is contrary to the heavens. This second Buddha is crazy and has surpassed the ghost. Killing a ghost and god who is infinitely close to annihilation. Has the strength of this second Buddha already reached the level of world-destroying ghosts and gods? Incredible, incredible, don't forget, this second Buddha has just returned to the true Buddha temple less than a month ago. He has never received any supernatural resources before, but he is still sharp. If he had been trained by the true Buddha temple since he was a child, with his growth, I am afraid he has already advanced to the level of world-destroying ghosts and gods. Damn it, listening to what you said, the record of the number one Buddhist disciple seems a bit unsatisfactory. Sure enough, fake is fake, and it can't be compared with the real thing. The ghosts are noisy. The buzz is getting louder. This day, the entire inner city was spreading rumors about the second Buddha's achievements. Even some of the fierce ghosts who originally supported the first Buddha began to waver amid the shouting one after another. It is believed that the second Buddhist disciple may have really surpassed the first Buddhist disciple in terms of strength. Listening to these cheers, the true Buddha's eyes were filled with excitement. This was the scene he had imagined in his heart after learning that he was a true Buddhist. Unfortunately, the existence of Shen Jian made his fantasy disappear. This made him, a true Buddhist, have no sense of existence. And now, he wants to take back everything that once belonged to him. Think of this. The true Buddha stood on the stage, his eyes fell on Shen Jian not far away, and a loud voice suddenly sounded. I solemnly introduce myself as the second Buddha, and also as the real Buddhist who has been lost for many years in the true Buddha temple. Although I have only recently returned, there is also a replacement for me in the true Buddha temple, making my existence insignificant. I have no sense of existence, but I will use my own way to prove that even without the training of Zhenfo temple, I am still the strongest. So, I want to challenge someone to prove myself. My dear brother, I know you are here. If you hear my voice, come on and fight. Of course, if you don't want to, I won't force you. I will continue to challenge all the ghosts and gods in the Buddhist kingdom until you can't avoid it. After the sonorous and powerful words of the true Buddha fell, the entire inner city fell into a deathly silence. Everyone stared intently at the dark horse-like figure on the stage. For a long time, the first Buddha came out to challenge. It's a brother, come and chop me. Where is it? Is the first Buddha here? Where is he? Why doesn't he speak? At this time, the inner city atmosphere has reached its peak. The atmosphere was completely ignited. All the ghosts were excited. The fight between two great Buddhist disciples is an extremely rare event in the history of the Buddhist country. Not to mention that this confrontation is likely to be related to the choice of the future successor of the Buddha kingdom. One is a fake Buddhist adopted by the true Buddhist temple. He has a terrifying level that is extremely close to the world-destroying ghosts and gods. He plays a decisive role in the Buddhist kingdom. He recently suppressed the Pyramid Kingdom and became the master of a super-standard 7-star supernatural place. One is the lost true Buddhist disciple. Although he has only just been promoted to ghosts and gods, his true strength is unfathomable. He is even killing ghosts and gods that are infinitely close to the world-destroying level. In terms of performance, he is no worse than the fake Buddhist disciples. In this way, two real and fake Buddhists who have their own concerns will have a supernatural confrontation to decide who is the strongest Buddhist. Who wouldn't be excited? Who wouldn't want to watch? For a while, everyone is looking for Shenjian. Here. The first Buddha is here. Not long after, an exclamation suddenly sounded. The ghosts looked at it. I saw Shenjian standing in the open space 100 meters away from the martial arts arena. His slender figure, handsome features, and the murderous hemp rope rising out of thin air on his wrist made him look like an evil monk. On a normal day, these people would have taken the initiative to make way for Shenjian when they saw him, and would have respectfully saluted him and would not have dared to say anything transgressive. However, the fierce ghosts who have been emotionally aroused will not care so much. Taking advantage of the large number of people, they began to cheer loudly. His face turned red and he shouted, "Accept the challenge! Accept the challenge! Accept the challenge!" For a while, it seemed like there was only one voice left in the entire inner city. In this case, if you choose to refuse, your reputation will plummet. So far, he has been labeled as a coward and a coward. Can't even wash it off. Therefore, even if you don't want to in your heart, you have to be coerced by public opinion and go to the stage to fight with the true Buddha. Good thing Shenjian is willing. The moment the true Buddha opened his mouth, Shenjian smiled, laughing wantonly. Because his casual move didn't fail. The true Buddhist disciple was following his own ideas and inviting him to fight in public, and he became the passive one. However, no one would know that he was the one who took the initiative. Thus, his good big brother persona will not collapse. Certainly. It's okay even if it collapses. After all, the only role of this character is to act as a victim to the ghost Buddha mother. But now Gui Buddha mother's favorability towards him has reached over 150 points, so maintaining his character can only be said to be the icing on the cake. Just thinking about it? The voice of the true Buddha continued, "Brother, come on stage. You don't need to be nervous. This is just a friendly match to verify the gap between us. If you can't hold it any longer, you can stop at will. I will show mercy." It is obviously a friendly word, but if you listen carefully, you will find that the sentence is completely said from the attitude of a winner to the loser, and the tone is full of condescension. Makes people uncomfortable. Hear the words. Shenjian's eyes were dark. Amidst the roar of the ghosts, he walked toward the martial arts arena. At once, the ghosts were boiling. Everyone shouted with red faces. It was as if they were the ones playing. Even the true Buddhists clenched their fists after seeing Shenjian walking step by step under the influence of public opinion. His expression was full of excitement. Finally, he could finally take back his own honor. In this battle, he wanted to win perfectly, easily, and effortlessly. He wants everyone to know that fakes are always fakes and can never replace the real thing. As for failure, He didn't think about it? Just kidding, he can even kill ghosts and gods that are infinitely close to the world-destroying level, and he hasn't used all his trump cards yet. How can he lose when the flying dragon rides on his face? He is a fake, how can he defeat me? The other side. Seeing Shen Jian accepting the challenge, the owners of various supernatural places immediately received the news and rushed there to witness the supernatural confrontation between the two Buddhist disciples with their own eyes. Even the abbot of Wudatangkao of Zhenfo Temple and the ghost Buddha mother learned this information at the same time and chose to go down the mountain. In the ghost tide, Tianlong looked at the scene of empty streets and kept muttering, "It's chaotic, everything is completely chaotic." End of this chapter. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shi Yubuletin Chigua. Chapter 1017. Side mission, capture the fruits of victory, in progress. Completion conditions, defeat true Buddha. Facing the reminder from the scarlet panel, Shen Jian slowly walked onto the martial arts field. The two Buddhist disciples faced each other across the air in this spectacular scene of a crowd of people, and a tense atmosphere swept the entire place. The surrounding area suddenly became quiet. Only one look was left, falling on the two of them. The true Buddha spoke first, his lips moving as he used special supernatural means to communicate with Shen Jian. "Haha, you damn fake, I don't know why you are completely different from the image I saw in my dream, and you even intercepted the encounter that originally belonged to me, but the fake is fake, no matter how hard you try, in the end, they all made wedding clothes for me. You should have accepted your fate calmly, instead of going against me and grabbing things that don't belong to you. You don't deserve it." Hear this. Shen Jian's eyes flashed slightly. He glanced at the protagonist in front of him again. The 100th reincarnation of Wang Hao, Awakening. Unlocking progress, 40%. See this. A trace of surprise flashed in Shen Jian's eyes. Awakening progress very quickly. 10 minutes ago it was 30%, and 10 minutes later it was 40%. This loading speed is too cheating. It seems. The source ghost of the copy here, that is, Ksitigarbha, may have noticed an abnormality in the reincarnation, so he went to great lengths to interfere with the plot of the 100th reincarnation. He had to speed up the speed of recovering Luo Fengtian from the 4th place. I don't know how much task progress can be gained by interrupting the protagonist's opportunity to become famous. Nor does he ask for more. Just 5% is fine. In that case, the task progress can be pushed to 80%. For the remaining 20%, he can directly find Tianlong, ask him to tell the major events that are in line with the progress of the strategy, and successfully peel off Luo Fengtian before Ksitigarbha wakes up. As long as Luo Fengtian's authority in the 4th place is stripped away, he can directly break the cycle of reincarnation, enter the real Ming dynasty's Wuchen Heavenly Palace, collect the fragments of the 3 life stones, and complete the unlocking of the last 6 paths of reincarnation. Think of this. Shen Jian's mood surged. However, in the eyes of true Buddhist disciples, this reaction took on another meaning. Sure enough, you know this. Did you also have that dream? And earlier than me? Ha ha ha, although my memory is not complete, I vaguely know that you, the fake, will eventually be defeated in my hands and become my stepping stone. The true Buddha's eyes were cold and cold. His tone was filled with gritted teeth. It seemed as if Shen Jian had done something heinous and bad, and it was unforgivable to be punished by God. To this, Shen Jian simply replied with a few words. Your mother is very moist. True Buddhist? He stayed for a moment. Then his face turned pale. Uncontrollably, he pointed at Shen Jian, his face seemed to turn green. You deserve to die. The true Buddhist roared angrily. Eyes bloodshot. At once. A coffin that only existed in illusion was revealed. As the coffin opens, the dark wind began to howl. A large ghost shadow rushed out, covering the sky and the sun. Those were fierce ghosts that died in extremely miserable conditions. There is a bald monk with flying hair, there is a mute bride with hollow eyes and howling ghostly, there is a headless child with a twisted neck, there is an old man who has lost his arms and is crying in his arms. Each of these ghosts has supernatural fluctuations at the level of ghosts and gods. In the blink of an eye, Shen Jian was surrounded in a strange position. That seems to be a formation. Ghost formation. Who gave him such a vicious formation? It's impossible. Am I not the only one who knows this ghost formation? At the same time, the Kas-Okt monk in the ghost relics appeared in Shen Jian's memory. At the same time, he was frightened and angry, and at the same time he seemed to be puzzled as to why the second Buddhist disciple opposite knew this supernatural power. Why, do you know this weird formation? Shen Jian had no reaction. Watch quietly as the true Buddha completes this masterpiece. Of course, you still remember the strongest supernatural being I once introduced to you, right? Shen Jian recalled, it seemed to be some kind of corpse explosion. Yes, this ghost array is a simplified version of the corpse explosion. The ghosts are refined into corpse slaves using the 10,000 ghosts coffin. The power of the explosion depends on the horror level of the corpse slave during his lifetime and the remaining yin qi in his body. I just took a look, and this bastard has refined more than a dozen powerful ghosts into corpse slaves, including 4 ghosts and gods. Once detonated, the world-destroying level ghosts and gods will be killed on the spot. Leave quickly. It will take some time for the ghost formation to be activated. You can completely leave. The opponent is still a little green. He only knows how to activate the ghost formation and does not know how to restrict people to the ghost formation first. If it were me, I would still do it. First use a ghost to hit the wall and complete the layout of 10 deaths and no life. Hear the words. Shen Jian glanced at the real Buddhist son who was confident of winning. The other party's sinister eyes seemed to say, if you have the ability, just run away and give it a try. Think about it. Shen Jian raised his steps and stepped out of the ghost array. However, the next second, invisible supernatural fluctuations suddenly came. Shen's body shook and he returned to the ghost formation. Ghost fighting against the wall? What's going on with this second Buddha? Is he so evil? Why is he so familiar with how to use the ghost array? Does it coincide with my idea? The Kas-Okt monk's eyes widened. A series of doubts arose in Shen Jian's memory. He had just mentioned the loopholes in the second Buddha's ghost formation, but who knew that the other party had arranged supernatural means in advance to restrict the enemy's departure? And just like what he thought, he was using ghosts to break the wall. In a trance. He seemed to think that this was what he was setting up. The idea is exactly the same. It's too outrageous. Shen Jian. If your guess is correct, this should be what the Cossack monk taught the protagonist in his 99th reincarnation. Perfect indeed. Although the ghost wall is not a rare supernatural method, it is not a problem to temporarily restrain the enemy. If you want to break through it quickly, unless the enemy's ghost realm is several levels higher than your own. In other words, under normal circumstances, once the ghost wall is activated, the enemy can only be restrained in the ghost formation and wait for the ghost formation to be detonated. Its power is so powerful that it can cause death even to world-destroying ghosts and gods. Just this time, a true Buddhist has the qualifications to be ranked as a ghost bodhisattva. It is not an exaggeration to say that he is the first person among world-destroying ghosts and gods. Even world-destroying ghosts and gods can be killed. Looking at the lineup of world-destroying ghosts and gods, they are definitely the best among them. Shen Jian estimated that this should be the ultimate trump card of the true Buddha. If he hadn't been angered, he probably wouldn't have used such large-scale destructive supernatural means right from the start. Think of this. Shen Jian clicked his tongue. Only awakening 30% of the memory has completed such an incredible leap in strength. Then at the end of the plot, that is, after the true Buddhist disciple becomes the master of the Buddhist kingdom, the opponent's terrifying level may not only be world-destroying ghosts and gods, but disaster-level ghosts and gods. But is that all? Shen Jian waited for a while. There was no other reaction from the true Buddhist disciple, and there was a hint of disappointment in his eyes. Fortunately, he was still thinking about it. Maybe he could get a glimpse of some of Ksatigarba's supernatural powers, or magical powers. Now it seems. But he overestimated. He was only 40% awakened and didn't even have the complete memory of the 99th reincarnation. How could he really have the memory of Ksatigarba's true form? Immediately, Shen Jian took out a black sword from his body. That was Ghost Emperor Shen Tu's exclusive underworld weapon, Prison Break. The most direct effect is to destroy all tangible and intangible things. The point of the sword's edge can cut everything. Even the scene captured in the photo can cause real damage by just cutting it off, causing damage to the two-dimensional world through the three-dimensional world. This is the power of the Ghost Emperor. In Shen Jian's perception, the ghost array in front of him relies on the illusory Wangui coffin as the formation I. Once it is torn apart, the source of the supernatural will come to an end. The ghost formation will also disappear. Just thinking about it? Seeing this, the true Buddhist disciple on the opposite side immediately let out a mocking cry. The resentment in his eyes was no longer concealed. Naked in front of everyone. Apparently, Shen Jian's simple words just now had an unprecedented impact on his worldview. It made him almost crazy. There was only one thought left in my heart: kill this imposter. It's too late. From the moment you set foot on this martial arts arena, the outcome has been doomed. This is a ghost formation. It uses the coffins of 10,000 ghosts as the formation and the corpse slaves as the guide. Once it is completed, even world-destroying ghosts and gods will have to die on the spot. Your fault is that you shouldn't have angered me, then I might still leave you a glimmer of hope. The true Buddha said sadly. The four ghosts and gods gathered around Shen Jian have undergone changes. The slender ghost body expanded infinitely at this moment. Almost bloated into a meatball. There are destructive supernatural fluctuations brewing in the body and will erupt at any time. The terrifying supernatural fluctuation made all the ghosts present change their expressions. They all started to stay away. Because their intuition tells them that the closer they are, the faster they will wait. Didn't I hear the second Buddha personally say that even world-destroying ghosts and gods will die on the spot if they are hit by this trick? Exaggeration or not, there is nothing wrong with keeping your distance. But does the second Buddha really want to kill the first Buddha? No way. Brothers killing each other? Is it so exciting? Is this something they can see without paying? At this time, the ghosts were both excited and worried. Everyone wants to know how this dispute between true and false Buddhists will end. Thinking. The real Buddha on the stage continued to speak. Goodbye, ghost formation, explosion. The word explosion hasn't been finished yet. A faint voice sounded first. Cut. The words fell. The 10,000 ghosts coffin, which only existed in illusion, was torn into two halves in full view of the public. Also cracked were the corpse slaves that were bloated into balls of flesh. As well as a true Buddhist. He is heartbroken. End of chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shi Buletin Chigua. Chapter 1018. Minutes ago. After receiving the news, the ghost abbot and the ghost Buddha mother from the 5 halls of Genfo temple arrived belatedly. As soon as they arrived, they saw Shenjian surrounded by 4 ghosts and gods and a dozen corpse slaves with lonely eyes. The corpse slaves swelled up and emitted destructive supernatural fluctuations from the inside out. Just looking at it made people's scalp numb and alarm bells ringing in their hearts. What's the situation? The ghost abbot of the discipline hall spoke first and asked the intelligence officer who delivered the news. The second Buddha defeated several ghosts and gods that were infinitely close to the world-destroying level. The last time he killed one such being. Now, he pointed his gun at the first Buddha, set up a ghost formation, and planned to use more than a dozen corpses. The destructive force produced by the slave detonation killed the first Buddha. According to the second Buddha, once this formation detonates, even world-destroying ghosts and gods will die on the spot. As soon as these words came out, no matter it was the 5 great ghost abbots or the ghost Buddha mother, their faces changed drastically. A supernatural method that can kill world-destroying ghosts and gods? Or was it initiated by the second Buddhist disciple who had just been promoted to a ghost? How can this be? Such forbidden supernatural powers are not even found in the true Buddha temple. How did the second Buddha, a being who had just returned, possess such a heaven-defying method? And how dare the second Buddha do this? It is not a big deal for Buddhist disciples to compete among themselves for the position of heir to the Buddhist kingdom, and they will not stop it forcefully. But rising to the level of killing people is too outrageous. This is not allowed from any perspective. Not to mention that the second Buddha also planned to kill the first Buddha and his nominal eldest brother in full view of the public, which was too evil in nature. The ghost abbots at the entrance of the 5 halls all thought of this. His face was solemn. But they didn't dare to rush forward. Because no one knows whether the second Buddha's words enough to kill world-destroying ghosts and gods are true or false. If it were true, then if they rushed forward, the only result would be to be buried. But even if it is false, the second Buddha dares to say such words, which means that the damage caused by the detonation of the ghost array will still have a fatal effect on ghosts and gods that are infinitely close to the world-destroying level. They rushed forward, but still could not avoid death. However, the 5 great ghost abbots did not move, but the ghost Buddha mother moved. After hearing that her biological son planned to kill Shenjian, her face turned pale and she rushed to the martial arts field immediately. One is her biological son who has just been recognized as a relative. He has bad character, is jealous, and has no tolerance for others. One is that she has watched her grow up. He is an adopted son who is better than his own son. He is so sensible that it makes people feel distressed. He is impeccable in terms of strength, status, character, and fame, and is the perfect successor. If only one of the two could exist, she would rather choose the adopted son. So, she rushed forward without hesitation. He not only wanted to end the dramatic fight here, but also wanted to save Shenjian. The 5 ghosts and abbots could not stop it, they could only act anxiously. The other side. The true Buddhist son also saw the scene of his biological mother rushing towards him desperately, and the resentment in his heart grew day by day. When Shenjian said the words very smooth, he preconceived the idea that Shenjian and his mother having an affair. Now I see my mother rushing towards Shenjian, the impostor, at all costs, which further deepens this impression. He just felt twisted. His face turned green. He never expected that an impostor who had stolen his identity for more than 10 years would now want to be his fake father. What a joke. His biological father, the Lord of the Buddhist kingdom, is not dead yet, not to mention that it is impossible for him to accept this ending. Therefore, the only ending for Shenjian is death. This is also the reason why he insists on going his own way even though he knows that doing so is not allowed. As long as Shenjian dies, no matter how sad his mother is, she can't do anything to him. After all, he is the only Buddhist disciple left. If he dies again, the Buddhist kingdom will have no heirs. Goodbye, ghost formation, explosion. The true Buddha looked at Shen Jian and moved his lips. My eyes were full of confidence that the victory was determined and life and death were in my hands. Unfortunately, before the word explosion could be uttered, a faint voice had already sounded out. Cut. The words fell. The ghost coffin, which only existed in illusion, was torn in half in public. Also torn apart was the corpse slave, which had bloated into a ball of flesh and was about to explode. Just a moment. All supernatural fluctuations are completely dispersed. The martial arts arena returned to calm. That moment, the whole place fell into a strange dead silence. The ghosts were stunned. Everyone was stunned on the spot. Gone. The taboo supernatural power that the second Buddha said was enough to kill world-destroying ghosts and gods is just gone? It's noisy. It sounds so outrageous, but in fact, it's just a matter of one sword. The ghosts could see it very clearly. Shen Jian took out a strange black sword and cut it off casually, tearing everything in half. No matter whether it is a bloated corpse slave or a ghost coffin that only exists in illusion, they can't stop this casual sword. The whole process only takes more than 3 seconds. Compared with the previous cumbersome layout of the second Buddha, even a fool would know the high and low positions. The most difficult thing to accept here is undoubtedly the true Buddhist disciple. He stared blankly at the scene where Shen Jian destroyed all his arrangements with one sword, causing his plan to fail. His original confidence turned into astonishment. The whole person is about to burst. This is the biggest trump card he has hidden since his awakening. For the sake of being a blockbuster. To this end, before announcing his challenge to the ghosts and gods, he deliberately left the Buddhist kingdom, found 4 ghosts and gods, and refined them into corpse slaves to serve as the greatest source of damage to the ghost array. According to his idea, one ghost and god can detonate a ghost array, which is powerful enough to severely damage a ghost and god that is infinitely close to the world-destroying level. 4 ghosts and gods are 4 chances to make a comeback. But he never expected that someone could actually cause damage to the formation I in the illusory world in the real world, and directly tear apart the coffin of 10,000 ghosts. Let the source of the supernatural be terminated. This horse riding is too outrageous. It's like he wrote a non-existent name on paper, but Shen Jian caused damage to this non-existent thing from the distance, and it was reflected in reality. Can a humming ghost do this? It's noisy. According to his memory, the Wangui coffin is an inexplicable supernatural being. The only way to escape is to leave the coverage area before the ghost array is formed. The true Buddha's thoughts surged. The whole person was terrified. He looked at Shen Jian as if he had seen a ghost. It is even said that it is scarier than seeing a ghost. However, Shen Jian ignored these. He carried the ghost Emperor Shen Tu's exclusive underworld weapon to break the prison, and walked towards the true Buddha step by step. With every step he takes, his momentum becomes stronger. His whole body exuded a breathless menace. Tap tap tap. The heavy footsteps were like the whisper of death, hitting the heart of the true Buddhist. That moment. In the eyes of a true Buddhist, he seems to see a god of the underworld carrying hell on his back, surrounded by ghosts, with corpses at his feet, and silence behind him. Faintly, there seems to be an eternal eye that opens in the midst of destruction. The sacredness of his gaze made his heart palpitate, making him tremble as if he were falling into the netherworld. Who is he? Who is this impostor? In his limited awakening memory, the fake Buddha was indeed very strong and gave him a huge sense of oppression many times, but he was not afraid and believed that sooner or later he would be able to defeat the opponent if he did not bully the poor young man. But now, after seeing the netherworld reflected in Shen Jian's body, he was left with only fear in his heart. Extreme fear. It is a mystery that cannot be defeated, cannot be interpreted, cannot be looked at directly, and cannot be described. And this kind of mystery should not belong to false Buddhists. Think of this. People who are true Buddhists are numb. I originally thought that the counterfeit Shenjian was just a loser who also awakened his memory, but now it seems that the person in front of him is not the fake Buddha in his memory at all, but an unknown mysterious existence. Just thinking about it? Shenjian has arrived in front of the true Buddha. With a faint look on his face, the black sword in his hand was already raised. At such a close range, if a sword cuts him down, the true Buddha will have no chance of survival. This idea appeared in everyone's mind. With the power of the first Buddha's sword to kill the source of supernatural beings, no one would doubt that the second Buddha, a newcomer to ghosts and gods, could withstand this sword strike. Moreover, even if the first Buddha did this, they would still understand. After all, it was the second Buddhist son who made the first killing move, without any regard for the impact of brothers killing each other. It was reasonable for the first Buddhist son to kill the other brother. The ghost Buddha mother watched the scene nervously. I wanted to say something, but in the end I was speechless. She respects Shenjian's choice. This moment, thousands of eyes focus. Shenjian raised the black sword in his hand, placed it across the neck of the real Buddha, and said slowly, "This farce must be over. You hate me, I don't blame you, but I can't embarrass my mother. But next time, you'd better find a deserted place to attack. The Buddhist country does not allow an heir who kills his brother to take the throne. Say it." Shenjian took back the black sword tire. Kicked the real Buddha off the martial arts field. At the same time, I was feeling in my heart, I'm such a holy mother hummer. Faced with a person who wants to kill him, he can let him go because of the nurturing grace of Ghost Buddha Mother. This wave of reputation cannot reach the sky. Is the good impression of the Ghost Buddha Mother not enough to reach heaven? Shenjian glanced at the Ghost Buddha Mother vaguely. Ghost Buddha Mother Ji Han. Current status, touched, tender, and ashamed. Favorability, add 10. Current favorability, 162, unlimited doting, end of this chapter. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shi Buletin Chigwa. Chapter 1019. As Shenjian's light words fell, all the stunned spectators came to their senses. After a brief silence, it was cheers like a flash flood and a tsunami. The first Buddha wins. Damn it! Is the first Buddha so strong? With just one sword, he ended this challenge. Haha, don't you understand? The second Buddha just used his strongest trump card. Once his trump card is broken, what chance does he have of winning? If we continue to fight, it will only make us more embarrassed. You are focusing on the wrong thing. Compared with strength, an heir with compassion is the blessing of the Buddhist country. And the first Buddhist son is such a perfect heir. Faced with the white-eyed wolf who tried to kill him, he can actually choosing to forgive is rare and valuable. The ghosts are noisy. There was a lot of discussion. In the worldview of ghosts, the correct understanding is to retaliate and eradicate the root of the enemy. Even if they are brothers, as long as the other party clearly shows their intention to kill you, no one will think it is abnormal to strike first. On the contrary, Shenjian's behavior was to the extreme. If an ordinary ghost did this, they would laugh in front of them and choose to bully them. But if the person who does this is the future heir of the Buddhist kingdom, then they will applaud. After all, it is better to let good ghosts rule the Buddhist kingdom than to let evil ghosts rule. It can be said. Shenjian's actions deepened the view of the ghost audience present that the first Buddhist disciple was the successor. There is no ghost who would not like a Buddhist master who has a high level of terror, strong strength, and a compassionate heart. Then, most of the ghost audience who had previously stood in the second Buddhist camp and cheered for it, switched sides to Shenjian, chanting, "Buddha! The first Buddha! A true Buddhist. Greeted with cheers. Shenjian stood on the martial arts stage, overlooking the true Buddha who was kicked off the stage by him. There was a flash of sarcasm in his eyes. Previously, the opponent stood on the martial arts stage and gave him a winner's speech in a victor's manner. He was so high-spirited that he was in the limelight for a while. Now, he stood on the martial arts stage, overlooking the opponent with a victor's attitude. This grand challenge eventually became the arena where he gained fame and made his wedding dress. I don't know if Ksatagarba's 103 incarnation ever considered this situation. Come to think of it, there shouldn't be. Otherwise, Sima wouldn't have such a shocked expression, unable to accept the reality. Timely. The scarlet panel flashes. Side mission, capture the fruits of victory, completed. Task completion, 100%. Reward, add 15% mission progress. Current strategy progress, 90%. After detecting the player's timely attack on the rise of True Buddha's existence continues to weaken, and he is completely ignored by Luo Fengtian here, and he no longer has the qualifications to become the protagonist. Warn. Warn. Serious warning. It is detected that the 103 incarnation is about to completely run away, the awakening speed of the true Buddha has accelerated again, the terror level has begun to synchronize, the memory has synchronized, the supernatural has synchronized, and the thinking has synchronized. Note, when the strategy progress reaches 100%, the presence of the true Buddha completely disappears, and reincarnation here collapses. A series of scarlet words seem to be a warning, constantly flashing across the screen in front of Shenjian. Shenjian's eyes lit up. A battle that was solved casually increased his mission progress by 15% at once, which was really beyond Shenjian's expectation. But when I think about it carefully, I think it is very reasonable. After all, the true Buddha even used his trump card to kill world-level ghosts and gods. It could be said that the victory was completely sealed. If he hadn't met him, he would have used this challenge to raise his reputation to a peak. Even the years of hard work of fake Buddhists were completely suppressed. It can be said to be a strong group. If it really succeeds, it will be easy to suppress the fake Buddha. Only 15% of the mission progress has been increased, which is already a judgment of the thriller game as having a low impact. But the text in this warning column may have triggered the final rebound. Shenjian was thoughtful. Terrifying level synchronization, memory synchronization, supernatural synchronization, and thinking synchronization, this is so special that it is almost like Ksatagarba's 99-3 incarnation comes to the rescue. Especially the horror level synchronization is unplayable. What's the difference between this and hiring a substitute? He thought that Ksatagarba only set up the necessary plot, and that the rest would be performed by the dungeon itself. Unexpectedly, this little old man was very bad. When the plot deviated by more than 80%, he began to use mechanical deities to forcibly fight on his behalf. There is no esports spirit at all. Shenjian clicked his tongue. It's a substitute fight, right? Then don't blame him for canceling his account directly. According to the horror game, when he pushes the mission progress to 100%, Ksatagarba's reincarnation will no longer have a sense of existence, and reincarnation will collapse. In other words, when that time comes, he can take action against the other party. Forced cancellation of Ksatagarba's 103 incarnation. Thinking. Shenjian withdrew his gaze. Just in time. The ghost Buddha mother had already arrived at the martial arts stage. After seeing that Shenjian was not seriously injured, she turned red-eyed and hugged Shenjian into her warm embrace. Between the nostrils, a fresh fragrance of lotus came. It scares me to death. If something happens to you, I really don't know what to do. The true feelings of the ghost Buddha mother are revealed. Touching Shenjian's handsome face, there was endless tenderness and a touch of fascination in his eyes. This is a strong possessiveness caused by excessive goodwill. In particular, the favorability of the ghost Buddha mother is as high as over 160 points, which is the highest among all the female ghosts that Shen Jian has attacked. She doesn't even have a reference, so naturally she doesn't know that this possessiveness is far more intense than Shen Jian imagined. Strong. On the outside, the ghost Buddha mother only cares about one person. In order to stay by his side, Shen Jian can even change issues of principle. Shen Jian's mood fluctuated. He comforted, "It's okay, my brother, was just confused for a moment. He probably didn't really want to kill me." Fortunately, as soon as she heard Shen Jian's words, the ghost Buddha mother immediately thought of everything that had just happened, and her face instantly became gloomy. Her original aloof demeanor suddenly transformed into a ferocious evil ghost. One side is displayed in front of the true Buddhist son, his biological son. The disappointment in his eyes was already full. He glanced at the true Buddha with disgust and said word by word, "I don't have a son who harmed his brother like you. From today on, you are you and I am me. There is no more relationship between us. Your life and death have nothing to do with it, I have nothing to do with it." As soon as these words came out. Shocking. Everyone was stunned. As the actual ruler of the Buddhist country, the ghost Buddha mother and the queen of the Buddhist country actually announced in public that she had terminated the mother-child relationship with the true Buddhist son. This thing was too sudden. No one expected it. No one would have thought that Shen Jian's status in the eyes of ghost Buddha mother would be so high that between his biological son and his adopted son, he would choose his adopted son without any hesitation. Doesn't this mean that the competition for the successor to the Buddhist kingdom is over? From today on, there is no such thing as a second Buddha. Yes, only Shen Jian, a true Buddhist. Hiss. The ghosts were in an uproar. Pupil earthquake. Damn it, today's big events really come one after another. They don't know which thing to prioritize first. At the same time, hearing that his biological mother had announced in public that she was severing the relationship with an adopted son with evil intentions, the true Buddha, who had already suffered a heavy blow and was unable to recover, suddenly raised his head and met the disgusted eyes of the ghost Buddha mother. That look seemed to say, "It would be great if you disappeared all the time, then you would still be the best imagination in my mind, instead of causing a lot of trouble for me." That moment, the mind of a true Buddha goes blank. I just felt like my eyes were in a trance. Then, his eyes went dark. Kick your legs. Fell into a brief slumber. One can imagine. What kind of blow was it to the protagonist to have his biological mother terminate the relationship between mother and child in public? Shen Jian had no mercy. Instead he raised his eyebrows. Because he saw something more. The 103 incarnation of Wang Hao. Current status, awakening. Awakening progress, 50%. Note, more memories have been unlocked, and the horror levels are being synchronized. Note, this character has been darkened. Whitening is 3 points weaker, and blackening is 3 times stronger. The protagonist in front of him has officially turned dark. End of chapter.